Hello, everyone, and welcome back to AphantasiaMeow. I just have a quick update for you and some describing the direction that I'm going in right now. So let's get to it.
Meow.
Okay, so I don't want this to be a very edited video or have it be like super contrived or something that I premeditated even. So I'm just going to keep it real simple and keep it conversational and let's just chat. Now, I have some updates for all of you who have been following the channel, and I'll describe sort of the situation that I found myself in. And this situation goes back to July. So what happened around this time is in, I believe, June, I think it was June, where I finished this big eCourse 2.0 that I was working on. Some of you might remember the launch of that. And I released it for a fee, right? And the idea around that was, I've made a business out of this and coaching and stuff like that. That was something I never intended to hide at all. Something that I wanted to make my living at was doing this research and this coaching. And so I made the course, I released it for a fee. And I started to release also a few months earlier, I believe, some information on a case study program that I was doing, which was awesome. It was super cool to see the results of that study and to start sharing it around a little bit. But what happened was I didn't get the best feedback not feedback, but response from some of the Aphantasia community around that time. And, I started to react internally against that. So I started to go, oh man, I don't want to be perceived as XYZ by the community. And so therefore, my pendulum, in a sense, started to swing from wanting to charge and actually making my living at doing all of this research and work to, well, maybe I shouldn't be charging hardly anything, or maybe I could do this in a different way. And so I tried it. And what happened was July came and I released this eCourse 2.0 for completely free. And, it was partly reacting against some of the negativity that I'd heard after I released some stuff, but then also partly because, like I said, I just wanted to try this other sort of way of doing it where I was being really generous with the material. And long story short, I totally shot my momentum in the foot with this whole thing. So by releasing that course for free, like a lot of people at first were super stoked about it, but there was no even way for me to keep track of who was actually doing it and who was keeping up with the practice and stuff. And so all my coaching calls completely halted, right? And this presented a huge problem for myself because back in January, that's when I decided to do this type of coaching full time. And so this was the only type of income that I had up until that point. Because I was working on it so much and so frequently, and all of that just stopped. So I don't know if you guys have ever tried to do something full time where you're not making money. Doesn't really work, right? Try to work at a job where they're not going to pay you full time. You're not going to be at that job very long, right? That's called a volunteer gig. And so what I had to do for myself was I started to reevaluate pretty much everything in this coaching practice and how I was making my living and what I was bringing to the table in terms of research and in terms of coaching. And what I found myself doing was I started to strategize on different types of coaching that I've actually been wanting to do for a long time that I just hadn't yet. Now, on this channel, you may have heard me mention here and there on different videos that, spirituality is one of my all-time favorite topics. And actually, my passions kind of go like this. Spirituality is very much at the top. Spiritual experience more so, not necessarily religion and concept, not theology, but spirituality itself. Very much at the top. And then science and research and understanding things in the scientific realm, absolutely just a step down, but top 3 passions. And then after that, I would say is teaching. So I love teaching and coaching. It's just something that I've always loved ever since I started to coach gymnastics like 10 years ago. And so what I realized during this time where all my momentum with AphantasiaMeow halted was that, okay, well, being ultra generous with my course is kind of making me irrelevant in terms of people coming to me for coaching now. And I can't do that if I'm not, able to sustain myself. So then I thought, well, why don't I kick up my spiritual coaching? Because it's something I dabbled in over the last 2.5 years since I started AphantasiaMeow, actually. And it was something that I wanted to go, well, let's do both. Like, why am I not doing both? Why have I not been doing both this whole time? And so I kind of gave a new launch to my spiritual coaching, which is called Third Eye Coach. And I opened a Facebook group, and I, started offering my coaching and started doing a case study program over there. And so I've been really busy actually with that other type of coaching where we talk about metaphysical experience. Some of you here are very interested in that concept. Some of you maybe not so much, because this has been a very, naturalistic kind of approach to this channel, which I intend to keep it that way because I want to keep things scientific. I don't want AphantasiaMeow to get into the mystical too much. I mean, the mind's eye is very subjective in that sense anyway. But I intend for this channel to stay what it is: research, this topic of aphantasia, this topic of the mind's eye, and keeping things grounded in that way. But this other brand, the Third Eye Coach, that I've been really busy with, that's kind of my playground for the spiritual aspects of life. Okay, so that's just some explanation and a quick update of what's been going on my end and why I haven't uploaded in a couple months. I've been really feeling out how I wanted to take this thing forward too. And what I've landed on is I know that I have some really important and beneficial things to say to the community and to this conversation of aphantasia and the mind's eye at large. So I don't want to stop doing that by any means, right? But I do want to put more of an emphasis on my coaching again. And so that's the main thing I'm going to offer is the coaching. If you want to coach with me, check it out on the website. You can reach out to me there. And the e-courses, what I've done with those right now anyway, this is where it's at right now, is I've scaled those things back. So I pulled the full version of the e-course 2.0. It's not on my website right now. It's not being offered right now anywhere, except for the first module. So the first module is free, and that's specially designed to help people to figure out if they have a mind's eye that's operating or not. It's really the best digital asset that I could even come up with. Even now, it's pretty good. It's pretty concise. It's very clear. So if you're wondering if you have aphantasia, definitely check out the first module of that e-course. It's for free. I call it the mini course now. The e-course 2.0 may make a comeback later on, but when it does, I'll be charging for it. Okay, just a heads up, because I need to make sure, like I said, that this is working for me doing this stuff full time, and it's working for the community. If it's not, if I'm not providing for myself doing these things that I'm doing full time, then I won't be putting out any more content and nobody wins. So that's just where things are at. That's why if you've been on the website and you notice or saw the video, of my announcement of that back in July, and you weren't able to find the e-course 2.0, that's why, because I had to pull it and pivot quite a bit. And I'm focused on these different things now. I'm focused on this still. I'll be focused on my spiritual coaching, be taking both of them forward at the same time. I got some new research that I want to come out within AphantasiaMeow, a survey that's been open for, I'm not sure how long, but maybe like 6 months or something. I've got quite a bit of data to start releasing on that. And of course, just like we've been doing on this channel, we'll carry this conversation forward. Just be aware, of a little bit of the pivot that I've chosen to take to make sure things are working correctly for me and the community. So that's it. And I thank you so much for joining me for this whole journey. I hope that all the resources I've come out with to this point are very beneficial. If you haven't yet, check out the Keys series, completely free, where I break down the concepts of how I even came up with my program in the first place. And from there, just have fun practicing the mind's eye. I'm sure you'll make progress. It's becoming more and more clear to me that if people practice the right thing and decide to move forward and don't take no for an answer, that they'll end up developing some sense of the mind's eye. So have at it, check out that Q series. Like I mentioned, if you're not in the Discord yet, we're having that conversation constantly. So jump in there, and I'll be seeing you soon. Okay. All right. Bye.